So we're talking about overcoming false beliefs. And today we're going to talk specifically about overcoming the feeling of sadness based on the belief that I may never amount to anything. So we've been doing a series based on interviews that I did with people of asking them about some of the beliefs that they have in their life and how that affects them. And the question we're talking about today was, what are some of the things that make you sad? And one of the answers that I received from that is, the thing that makes me sad is being told that I will never amount to anything. So the reason that I decided to do some of these videos based on asking other people questions is because we know that our beliefs drive our behavior, and that we have beliefs about practically everything in this life. But the problem is we oftentimes don't really understand or recognize that what it is that's creating our situation or our level of happiness is our beliefs. So we come into this life not really knowing anything, but then we grow up in environments where we're taught, and we're taught how to think, we're taught how to behave, and then our thoughts create our emotions. We're actually taught what emotions are. So people tell us what anger is, they tell us when they're angry. They may make a comment or say to you, why are you so angry, or why are you feeling sad? And it's through those experiences that we begin to learn what emotions are, and we begin to create our beliefs. But what's important, and this is why I wanted to ask these questions, because I asked the questions just kind of off the cuff without giving any explanation, because I didn't want people to really think about their answer. I just wanted them to go with the answer that came from the top of their head. And there's basically, two parts of our brain. There's the conscious and the subconscious. So the subconscious is, what we call autopilot. It's just what we've been conditioned to do, and it's how we react to situations. And all of this that's in our subconscious, it's all learned behavior and learned beliefs. Well, 90% of our time, we're operating out of the subconscious part of our brain. Only about 7 to 10% of the time are we actually up here in the conscious part of our brain. Most of our learning happens here in the subconscious. And the way our subconscious works is it doesn't question things. It just accepts them, and it looks for evidence then to support it. And so most of the things that we learn, it's just because it appears to be true, and so our subconscious accepts it, but we may never question it to see if our beliefs are based on truth or not. The other thing that's important to understand is that there are truths that govern the world in which we live. We call those truths principles or laws. So there are laws that govern the world in which we live, like the law of gravity, but there are also laws that govern happiness and relationships and success. If I'm not really aware of what my beliefs are, for example, I believe that other people can make me sad, then I believe the solution to my sadness is the other person or the circumstance or the situation. So this is where we create our beliefs. When I asked the question to people, I said, so what is it that makes you sad? Well, one of the responses that I got was, when I am told that I will never amount to anything. So that came probably from this subconscious part of my brain. So the person who said that has had somebody tell them in their life that you will never amount to anything. And when they hear that, they just assume that that comment is true. Maybe it came from a person that they respect or admire. Maybe it came from a parent. But just because somebody says that, does that mean that it's true? So this is a comment that's said by another person, and we don't know why they said it. We don't even know for sure if they believe it. Maybe they were saying it because they care about you and they were just trying to motivate you or to influence you. So maybe they really do believe that you have potential, but maybe they think you need a kick in the butt or something to get going, and they have a belief that maybe if they said that to you, that it would motivate you to start behaving differently. But if I accept it and believe it, first I have to ask myself, is that statement, is that belief true? What does it mean that you will never amount to anything? So it could just be that I know that that's a negative comment or statement about me. They don't believe that I have anything to offer, and so I'm not going to create any value. So I then believe that, and I feel sad because I take that on and I own that comment or statement from the other person. So if I just understand that, first of all, I understand when another person says something about me, it really doesn't mean anything about me. So if a person says to you, you will never amount to anything, it really has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the person that made the comment. So if I understand that truth, then I don't have to take that comment personal, and I can just maybe ask myself, I wonder what it is about that person that that person feels a need to say something like that to me. That changes the whole feeling connected with that statement, because now I'm looking at it as that has something to do with that person and it doesn't have anything to do with me. So here's the question: who is in control of my emotions? In this situation, if I'm sad because a person says I will never amount to anything, well, isn't that statement that is causing me to feel sad? The subconscious part of our brain may look at that and say, well, yeah, the person said that, and so I feel sad. So it's this statement that is causing me to feel sad. But this isn't a true equation. It's not the statement, but it's my thoughts about the statement that's creating my emotion. So who's in control of our thoughts? That's one of the principles that we talk about on principle-based living, is that one of the laws or principles is control, and that we have control over three things: our conscious thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior. Another principle is a principle of choice. And so I can choose what thoughts to have. And so I hear this statement. The statement doesn't mean anything until I attach meaning to it with my thoughts. And so some part of me must choose to believe that this statement is true. And now I feel sad because I'm choosing to believe that statement. That, I believe, is coming from the subconscious, because if I turn my brain on and I came up to the conscious part here of my brain, and then I thought, is that statement true? Then I could begin to ask the questions like I've already asked, which is, what does that even mean? That I'll never amount to anyone. And if I understand the truth that I get to determine who I am and I get to determine how I feel about myself, then the question is, if I choose to believe that and I choose to feel sad, why would I want to feel sad, and why would I want to believe that? So I may have something going on with myself in my own beliefs about how I see myself and the value that I feel like that I have. And maybe I have a fear myself that I may never amount to anything. And so when this person says that, it's just a statement that seems to go along with what my fear is. And so now I think, oh no, maybe I really won't amount to anything. And so then I feel sad. But if I recognize that and I pay attention to what's going on with me, and I look at, well, how do I see myself? Do I value myself or not? What do I base my value on? Do I base my value on what other people think of me? Do I base my value on what I accomplish? Do I base my value on all of those things, or do I recognize that I have intrinsic value and that I am okay? All of us are going to make mistakes. All of us are imperfect. But the fact that we're imperfect does not decrease our value. That's the reason that we're here. We're here to learn and to grow and to become the best that we can be. We do that by making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, and then making different decisions and choices moving forward. If I'm feeling sad, there must be a reason that I'm choosing to feel sad, because it's my thought. So maybe there's some kind of payoff that I get from being sad, because maybe when I'm sad, then people pay attention to me. And when they pay attention to me, now I feel like I have value because they're noticing me. Well, that's a belief. And I have the ability to change that up. And so the solution to this is I have to recognize and understand that I choose my thoughts. Nobody can hurt my feelings. I'm in control of that. So if I'm feeling sad, I need to own it. I need to take accountability and say, I'm choosing to feel this way. And then ask myself, why do I want to feel that way? And if I say, well, I don't want to, then I can go back and I can examine my thoughts and beliefs and see if I can find the error in my belief, which it may be that I have a belief that in order to be okay, in order to amount to something, I have to be perfect. And then I can look at that and say, that's a false belief because there's nobody that's perfect. And so I have an expectation that is unrealistic. And then I ask myself, am I willing to let that belief go? And am I willing to replace that with a belief that, I am okay, and I'm okay even though I'm imperfect. And if I understand that, then if somebody says something like that to me, maybe then I'm in a place where I don't take it personal. I recognize that it's more about them, that it isn't about me, and I know that I'm okay, so I'm going to choose to continue to feel okay about who I am, and I no longer need to feel sad because maybe I'm getting my value from myself, or maybe I've learned how to get attention from other people by making healthy choices or doing things to serve others or to benefit others. But ultimately, I want to get to a place where I know that I'm okay because I know the truth about who I am, and I don't allow others to give me my value or to believe that my value comes from others. I need to understand that it comes from within. So the solution to this false belief is to understand that I'm in control of my emotion. Just because somebody else says that they don't think that I will amount to anything, that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them. So if I have a correct understanding of principles and of truth, I'll recognize that this statement has nothing to do about me, and I can let that go, and then the emotion connected to that will go as well. So I encourage you to be aware of your thoughts, be aware of your beliefs, and be willing to question your beliefs. And if you have a belief that is resulting in you feeling in some kind of negative state, then I can almost say that if it's something outside of your control, that it's based on a false belief. If it's something within your control, then it's information to you about something that you have control over that you can change. And it may be that I need to change the way that I see myself, because this really isn't about what the other person thinks. It's about what I think of myself, and you do have the power and the control to change that up. Thanks for watching today. Be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell so that you'll get notifications of new videos. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, be sure and follow me here.